This is It's a Veggie BLT PETA, which stands for I totally suck at video games, but love to play them anyway, welcoming you to Otome Round-Up, where I give you a mostly spoiler-free look at the eligible bachelors in an Otome game to help you, and the star bachelorette, figure out who to woo. Today's game is Olympia Soiree, which takes place on an island inhabited by people who distinguish themselves by their hair color, and that hair color is serious business. The titular heroine, Olympia, is the only one on the island with white hair, making her extra special as those with white hair are the only people able to offer prayers to the sun in order to keep it going. Olympia has been secluded most of her life, starting off the story as sheltered and naive, but she wants to go out into the world and help people. And hey, now that she's turned 18, she finally gets the chance. With the small caveat that she needs to find a husband within a year and start having children to replace the white-haired people of the island. Olympia wants to fight for equality and peace between all the colors of the island, but she's definitely going to need some help navigating how to do so. Luckily, there are several handsome men who are happy to join her in this endeavor, but which one should she consider prime husband material? Her choices run the gamut of the color wheel, and each have their own distinct personalities and favorite part of a lady, which I have kindly listed for you. Akaza is from the Red Clan and the leader of the Kotowari, a group that helps keep order on the island. And he's also the first bachelor you meet after a somewhat disastrous birthday. He has a lot of responsibility on his shoulders for being so young, but he handles the pressure like a champ. However, he also tends to appear firm and unemotional, which puts Olympia off rather quickly, especially as he volunteers himself as her husband if she can't find anyone. Once you get to know Akaza and talk with him more, it's clear he's working hard to make life for everyone on the island better, no matter their hair color, and truly does want to make Olympia happy, even if he has trouble making that intent clear. Akaza is a mix between Kudere and Prince. He's able to be a logical yet kind leader who looks out for others without needing credit. This match works out well if you like the kind of man who maybe comes off a bit stern, but is always there to rescue the princess. A quick heads up that Akaza's route is actually locked behind all the other routes, and in being the last route, it is lore heavy in order to tie up a lot of loose plot threads. But there's still enough romance to spice things up. Tokisada is an outsider, which is why his hair isn't green even though he's the heir to the Green Clan. And also the youngest bachelor, technically too young to marry Olympia according to the island rules, but that won't stop true love if you go for him. Even though Tokisada's route starts off with him calling Olympia One-chan and eating ice cream, digging a little deeper uncovers tragedy and insecurity bubbling underneath. Spending time with Tokisada reveals how he's trying to find his own place on the island and live up to the expectations people have for him. Being with Olympia will give Tokisada more status on the island, but it becomes clear he wants to be with her for more than just that. Tokisada is a mix between Shota and Insecure, so if you are looking for someone who looks up to you and needs you to take care of them, Tokisada is the right match for you. Tokisada's route is an even balance between lore and romance, and gives some further insight into the major color clans outside the primary three, as well as a bit about outsiders. Riku of the Blue is part of the island's military and takes his job deadly serious. Riku's a firm believer in obeying authority and following the rules, as unbendable as the sword he wields. This inflexibility doesn't initially work well with Olympia's desires to shake things up, but they both learn from each other. Riku's prickly exterior and strict nature are his way of caring and making sure Olympia stays safe, whereas Olympia slowly opens his eyes to the possibility that answers can be gray instead of black or white. Riku is a mix of tsundere and strict. He'll try to push you away for propriety's sake, but if you enjoy getting underneath the tsundere spikes and reaching the creamy center, Riku could be the match for you. Riku's route is the most self-contained in regards to the island's lore, so he might be a good starter choice. I'd say it's about a 50-50 balance between lore and romance. Yosuga is the last of the Purple Clan and spends his days in the underground as the proprietor of an illustrious bathhouse that even the upper class will visit. He likes to play himself off as uninvolved with the people and politics of the islands, but it becomes clear rather quickly that he has some history with interesting parties of all types. Initially, he doesn't consider himself an option for Olympia to choose due to his past and hair color, but Olympia's constant presence at his side wears him down. They both want to let the people living in the underworld be able to have some hope to see the sunlight, but they have slightly different ways of going about it. Yosuga is a mix of flirty and obsessive in the yandere fashion, though not full-blown. He wants to make you think he's no one special, but once he gets serious about something, he's very serious. If you want to earn someone's utter devotion, Yosuga might be your match. Yosuga's route has a lot of spoilers for what happens to certain clans, including Olympia's. His route skirts further into romance than lore, which is a plus in my book. Kuroba is the second in command to Akaza, and a highly regarded doctor despite his hair color. He's the kind of guy that flirts with everyone and puts on a show that he's lazy and somewhat lackadaisical. But he spends most of his time locked up in his office working on new medical treatments to help everyone on the island and the underground. Olympia's blood may hold the key to curing an illness going around the island, but Kuroba is reluctant to use her, wanting her to be able to live a normal life and find a worthy husband, which he does not believe he is, despite the heavy flirtation that's part of his nature. Kuroba is a mix of playboy and carefree, with a glint of yandere in one of the bad endings. For his own sake and others, Kuroba acts like nothing bothers him, but he is truly caring and wants to prevent sadness for others. If you want a schmoozer with a heart of gold, Kuroba's your guy. Kuroba's route has a focus on the illness of the island and how different people are dealing with it, so there are some spoilers for character secrets. I'd say it's about 60-40 romance to lore. Himuka is a very mysterious character known as the Undertaker. If someone is too poor to have a fancy funeral, the Undertaker gets called in to perform the rites instead. He doesn't like too much attention drawn to himself, but can't help reaching out to Olympia every time they cross paths. As it turns out, Olympia is just as intrigued by Himuka, as he holds the answer to many of the questions she has about the island. But there is danger to getting too close to Himuka, which is why he keeps trying to resist the string of fate pulling them together. Himuka is a mix between mysterious and reserved. He has a lot of reasons to keep to himself and keep his secrets safe, but he also wants to let someone in and not be alone anymore. It just has to be a very special someone to get over his walls. If you want to feel like being the reason someone lives for, Himuka might be your match. Himuka's route skews more towards lore than romance, with a lot of secrets behind the island's past revealed. Interesting lore, but I'd prefer more romance. Also, like Akaza, Himuka's route is locked until you clear the other 4. My personal choice is Yosuga, because who can resist a nice hot bath with a side of steamy romance? As a side note, while bad endings aren't uncommon in visual novels and otome games, Olympia Soiree has some slightly shocking and interesting ones, making them worth going through the story to get. At least it was worth it for me. But I like angst, as long as there's a happier ending waiting for me down the line. Speaking of endings, while the good endings are happy enough for the new couple, quite a few of them leave the state of the world and the island in a bit of flux. So if you're looking for sparkly, clean happiness, Olympia Soiree is not going to deliver. What Olympia Soiree does deliver on is sex. Some of the CGs get a bit racy, and it's very obvious, for story reasons I won't spoil here, that Olympia and her bachelor of choice do get it on. So if you've been looking for an otome game that skews a little more adult, Olympia Soiree might be right up your alley. So those are the 6 eligible bachelors with a chance to win Olympia's love and create a happily ever after for her. Which man sounds like the right one for the job? That's for you to decide. See you next round. It's a veggie BLT pita! I totally suck at video games, but love to play them anyway.